Hey guys, welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel. And I do really appreciate it. It's anymore, guys. There are so many dang bass fishing YouTube channels, so I know you guys have a lot to choose from. So thank you for swinging by Intuitive Angling here, guys. Today I want to talk about something that I don't think I've ever seen this done on YouTube before. I want to address the growing tension between recreational bass anglers and tournament anglers. This is something I don't know why I haven't talked about before, because it is something that's real and obvious. I was looking through my YouTube analytics the other day, and it said in my particular analytics that almost 80% of the people that watch my videos, they identify themselves as recreational bass anglers. They don't fish tournaments at all. And only 20% or so, or maybe even less than 20%, classify themselves as tournament bass anglers in some shape or form, BFLs or buddy tournaments or whatever. And I get locked in to thinking everybody's a tournament fisherman, because that's my frame of reference as a tournament angler. And I think one of the things that I do on my channel a little bit too much is I gear my videos around tournament type mentality more. I need to start reevaluating that. But the thing I want to talk about today in the video is this growing tension that's existing between recreational anglers and tournament anglers, and sort of give you guys my opinion on that, and sort of what the state of it is and what the future of it looks like. So we're going to get into that today's video, and definitely drop some comments. I want to hear from you guys as well. Also, guys, before we get started, quick reminder, you guys heard me talking about it, and probably, I'm going to guess, about 2 weeks from now, we're going to be starting the first live stream on Intuitive Angling. And this live stream, we put it together for channel members and Patreon members of the channel. It's going to be a private live stream. So if you want to be part of that and interact with me on the live stream, we're going to be talking about stuff we can't talk on the normal channel. Just go to my YouTube homepage, click on the join button for information, and you can join as a channel member, or you can also go to the description of this video and join as a Patreon member. And we're going to be having probably a weekly live stream moving forward for those members of the channel. So you really want to give something back for the channel supporters. And finally, guys, thank you very much for everybody else that has supported the channel through all the other means we have to do it, just subscribing and using all the links I put in the description. Really appreciate that. Okay, I am torn on this. I'll say it right off the bat, because I'm a tournament angler. I have been my whole life. I love tournament bass fishing, but I totally understand the attitude that people that don't fish tournaments have. I can empathize with those people, because I'm getting where I tend more to be with the non-tournament anglers than the tournament anglers. I'm literally, I don't mean I'm on the fence about how I can't decide, but I understand and everybody's point of view with that. I can completely understand the attitude that a non-tournament angler has against tournament anglers, and I can understand as a tournament angler what that is like against recreationals. So I want to dive into this a little bit and explain to you guys what I'm talking about. And I think one of the things I think you got to realize, there's a lot of tournament anglers that probably feel like I do on this as well. Okay, now first of all, when you're talking about this tension that grows between them, the tension I have noticed has really, really been magnified over the past 2 or 3 or 4 years. There's a couple different reasons for this. First of all, there's too many bass tournaments. I talk about this all the time on the channel about how we don't have a regulatory body in this country that has any type of guardrails or regulations put on tournament organizations. It's the more the merrier. We don't have, whether it be like the lake patrols or the lake managers, whoever's in charge of the lake, it's basically whoever wants to have a tournament, come on down. They don't regulate the tournaments close enough. And this is a real problem, since we have more and more tournaments, and especially with the introduction of the high school and college fishing. The high school and college fishing represents the most of the tournament anglers anymore. I mean, and the problem you have with high school and college events is some of these events will have 500, 700 boats on one lake on one weekend. And that's not right. That's not fair to the anglers that fish it. That's not fair to the recreational anglers that use the lake as well. It's an irresponsible way to hold tournaments, and not just college and high school, but a lot of other tournaments. I see tournaments here just on my, neck of the woods here at Table Rock Lake and Lake of the Ozarks and Grand Lake, just like what you guys have, that there's just too many tournaments on any given weekend, especially during nice times of the year, and nobody has stepped in to regulate that. So if you're a recreational bass angler and you've worked all week long and you're looking forward, to spending a weekend on the lake fishing, I can understand how pissed off you'd be if you had all these freaking hundreds and hundreds of tournament boats running balls to the wall across the lake the day you want to get out there and have a relaxing day of fishing. I completely get it. So what do we have to do here in order to sort of like accommodate everybody? Okay, I'm going to tell you, first of all, I side with the recreational bass anglers over the tournament anglers. And let me explain to you why this is. One of the things that tournament anglers do a lot of times, and I can say this, I've earned the right to say this because I've been a tournament angler for 50 years, and I made my living as a tournament angler for almost 40 years. Tournament anglers tend to have this sense of entitlement that they, have more right to the lake than other people do. And as a tournament angler, I understand what that entitlement feels like, because you go to a tournament and you've spent tens of thousands of dollars maybe to get to this tournament. You got a $5,000 entry fee. You got your mortgage to pay at home. There's a lot of pressure on you to do well in the tournament. If you go to a top level tournament, it can literally cost you close to $10,000 for one tournament. So when you have that type of investment and your literally your career and your financial well-being is on the line, I understand the fact that you have this sense of entitlement that you're just going, it's all about you on the lake. I get it. I've been there. I have felt that way myself with the pressures of tournament angling. So that is one way that you have to look at it. And if you're a recreational angler, try to put yourself in the position of a tournament angler to say that. It's like, if most of these tournament anglers have laid out a significant financial outlay just to be at those tournaments. So I know that you may not, have any compassion or empathy for them, but you have to sort of shift your mind a little bit and look at that tournament angler and say, that dude's got a lot on the line. I can understand why he's running balls to the wall and being a little bit more aggressive. Okay, on the other end of the spectrum, as a tournament angler, you have to look at these recreational anglers, bass anglers, and know that they don't have any interest in tournaments. They just want to get out and bass fish and enjoy fishing and having a good time. And I think one of the judgments that a lot of tournament anglers have towards recreational bass anglers is recreational bass anglers tend to keep and eat bass more than the tournament anglers do. And as a tournament angler, you're all about protecting the resource, and you understand that it's more valuable to see a 5-pound bass jumping at the 20 foot out off the end of your line after it smashed your Zara spook than it is to see it in the frying pan. That's a common perception of tournament anglers toward recreational anglers, and I feel that way too. It's like when I see recreational anglers putting a limit of 3-pounders in the live well, it makes me sick at my stomach. And so I go back and forth between both of them. I can completely understand what the deal is. So what do we need to do in order to get around this? First of all, the biggest thing that we have to do, it goes back again to what I just talked about, is our tournaments have got to be regulated. And for all you dudes out there that say, I don't want anyone regulate me, or I don't want the government telling me what I can and can't do with tournament fishermen, you have to just look beyond yourself here. You can't just think about yourself here. You have to look to see that these regulations are put in place for the greater good. It's for the greater good of everybody that uses the body of water. It's for the greater good of the sustainability of the fishery. It's for the greater good of the overall bass population, for safety and everything. There ain't nothing wrong, guys, with having some regulations on the amount of tournaments that we have here. If we would have some type of a regulatory body on a state level or federal level or whatever that says, okay, if you want to have let's say Table Rock Lake, for example, If you want, you got 365 days out of the year for all these tournament organizations to put on their calendar. If you guys want to have a tournament on April 14th, fine, sign up for it, but you're not going to have 3 tournaments on April the 14th. We're not going to have 3 tournament organizations launching out of the same place. It's not going to happen. Have your tournament the next day or the next week or the next month or whatever. We have got to begin to stop stacking these tournaments on top of each other, because when you do that, that is what creates this animosity amongst the recreational anglers. Because, some guy gets off of work, gets, down to the lake Saturday morning after working all week long. He doesn't want to see freaking 600 tournament boats where he's launching at. I can understand that. I wouldn't want to see that either. So that's the first thing we have to do. And there has to be this attitude shift amongst the entitled tournament anglers that it's okay to have these regulations on your tournaments. Okay, now as far as the recreational anglers also have to realize that, yeah, they choose not to fish tournaments, but some people choose to fish tournaments. So they can't have this sense of entitlement to say that, by God, I don't give a crap about these tournament anglers. They're just like a bunch of little mosquitoes running around the lake. They have to realize that since it is a public body of water, that they have to share the body of water with the tournament anglers. And that's difficult to do, because I understand from somebody that fishes both recreational and tournament anglers how freaking irritating tournament anglers can be. You got this blast off with guys running balls to the wall 100 miles an hour, throwing wakes up in the water. You got guys cutting you off and coming in too close. You go to these tournaments after the weigh-in, there's freaking dead bass floating everywhere in the takeoff cove, where they've died from delayed mortality. I understand that. It's a very difficult situation. And the problem that we have as bass anglers, tournament and recreational anglers, is we are on public bodies of water. It's not like, the PGA where they have a private golf course. Tiger Woods doesn't have to wait for some, weekend foursome, to get off the 9th hole before he can hit his approach shot. They don't have to do that. They're on a private, setup. So until tournament angling can be moved to a private venue, this is going to be something that everybody has to deal with over and over and over again. But there's no easy answers to it, guys. It's just like what we talk about with the whole forward-facing sonar issue out there. When you have money involved in it, it's hard to get people to do the right thing. And when you have money involved about these tournaments, they bring in money to the local economy. You're not going to have any chamber of commerce or any lake managers step in there and take away their tax dollars. So they're going to say bring in the more the merrier. So and this is the problem that you have with it. It's like money influences everything, and money influences people's ability to make the right decision. And it goes into recreational versus tournament angling. So I don't look for much to change soon. And the reason I don't is because, like I said, we don't have people in positions of power within this bass fishing industry that do the right thing. I have said that over and over again, guys, from the bottom up, tournament organizations to the regulatory bodies to the conservation departments, across the board, guys, we have got some of the most short-sighted, poorest leadership in positions of power within the bass fishing world in general right now. I've never seen anything like it, and I have been around since the 70s observing it. And I can tell you for sure, the last 5 years, this sport is in worse hands than it's ever been before. And I can list the reasons, and I do talk about the reasons. So that is just part of human behavior I have seen in general, is that people do not do the right thing until they're forced to do so. Probably going to be the same thing in this whole battle between recreational and tournament anglers. So anyway, guys, drop a few comments. Let me know what you think, and we'll check in later.